it was written, it was published probably by Penguin or some other important publisher. He said that he who dams the river should be excluded from the society because river renders enormous services to the society. We should catch the water where it first drops, that is on the village. And we have the traditional culture of catching the river water in the pond and diggis. Believe me, I have calculated we have about 1.2 million derelict pond in West Bengal. If we just keep water at the depth of 1 to 1.5 meter on those derelict pond, total storage capacity of that will be more than that of the DVC reservoirs. So this is important, the way how you will think towards the problem. We need to store the water, but not at the cost of the river. Because river renders enormous services, because those are apparently invisible, so you can't understand. As and when it disappears, you will understand what is the service of the river. This was my humble submission.
The second question here, is the solar energy, generation of solar energy, economically viable?
Yes. Initially, the initial cost may be little higher right at this moment. Yes, I agree with you. But that is the important issue of the researchers. That is the duty of the IITs. That is the duty of the BE college, our students. How to make it much more cheaper and eco-friendly way so that the future generation can be saved from the imminent disasters that we are going through. Yes, sir. Yeah. And apparently, as Maharaj rightly mentioned, you have probably heard the name of Tarun Bharat Sangh in Rajasthan. Rajendra Singh. I met him several times. They have not only created the rainwater harvesting across the area, but they have rejuvenated 5 rivers, which was earlier went dry, in an area which has a rainfall of about 200 millimeter only. And Rajendra Singh rightly told me that when he first visited the area, nobody virtually believed them. Only one old man, he said that we know how to store water. And he taught him how to store water. And he followed, and now the total scenario has changed.
Yeah. Not connected, they have built the Narmada Canal, which is about 700 kilometers long. And they have used solar energy to serve a dual purpose. They have built the solar panels on the top of the canal so that it prevents evaporation, which goes to the extent of 15%. So water is prevented from evaporating, so that stores money that can be used for irrigation. And moreover, it generates, you can save space. You can't have big solar panels on land. Land is very valuable. So they are using the canal itself. The top of the canal is covered with solar panels. So innovation can, you can find solutions through innovation. But we should have the sensitivity, as you mentioned rightly. Are we sensitive to the issue? Solutions are there. Technology is there, but only samvedana, they call it empathy, as Subramaniam ji mentioned. We should feel the difficulty of other people, So Rajasthan, it was a need which Rajendra Singh ji felt. So 3,000 lakes he has created, man-made lakes, without a single government pie. We are all blaming the government. They didn't depend on the government. He got Magsaysay award for that. It is known as Tarun Bharat Sangh. So the villagers came because it was a need. And if you empathize with the people, how long will you suffer? So someday you have to take action. That's why Swamiji emphasized again and again. He didn't say, do you think? Thinking we have done enough. For centuries we have been thinking, our hearts have become dry. So he said, do you feel? That is the first step to become a patriot. When you start feeling, you empathize. As Subramaniam ji said, it's not enough to sympathize, but empathize. Try to feel yourself. That is how Vedanta and religion comes in. So when you really feel, the solution is there. There, we were talking of the benefits of science and technology. I'll give you a small example. We have started a course which is known as Contributor Personality Program. 1 lakh students of Gujarat Technological University. You know what is the practical component of that? All the students, all these days, they were not using their knowledge to solve socio-economic problems as Swamiji wanted. So after this course was introduced, there is an innovation council where the management of the university, that is the vice chancellor, is a very noble person, and of course there are other people, National Innovative Foundation, Dr. Mashelkar and so many people. They made it mandatory for all the students to have 6 months of their project work, to go to rural areas and try to find out if their engineering branch, chemical, mechanical, electrical, solar, whatever it is, ceramic, can you solve any problem of society in your local area? You need not go, because all our technology, science and technology, sir, is solving the problems of the rich, not the poor. So we have 1 lakh or almost 8 lakh engineers all over India coming out every year. If you just use that talent pool, which is the biggest in the world, if they just go as Swamiji wanted, he visited, his yatra was known as that Parivrajak Yatra, they call it Shodh Yatra in Gujarat. Shodh Yatra means it's just based on the principle of Swamiji that you have to visit these places. Just theoretical knowledge will not do. When you go, when you live with them, when you see the situation, then you will come out with solutions. So that engineers have to be sensitized to these issues, and so that empathy is generated. Once that is generated, then our brains are the best. They can find out solutions. This time nearly 300 problems, farm related problems, water related problems, pollution related problems, students came with fantastic answers. A 300-year-old problem of Assam tea estates. Women have to pluck those tea leaves. For 500 years they have been doing under the British, now under Tatas. Nobody thought of reducing their drudgery. Every woman has to pluck the tree leaves and put it in a basket 10,000 times a day. So you try 100 times, if you do, your whole shoulder will start paining. But nobody thought, because what is the use? They develop new mobiles, but they don't develop a technique for solving their problem. 3 students of GTU devised a very simple solution, and it has been adopted by Tatas now. It has reduced the drudgery. Now the women can just pluck the leaves and put it in a basket in front. Once that basket is full, there is a suction pump which will suck the leaves and put it in the basket behind. So it's a huge basket, They don't want the women to go, because a small basket in front means they have to go and come many times. They will be wasting a lot of man hours. So the people who are employing them, they are merciless. They don't bother. They said, you should have a basket so that for 4 hours you can work. Whatever happens to your hand, we are not bothered. So they were not sensitive. But these girls, these young students thought of a solution. It is a very simple solution. A small sensor is attached to that basket. Once the basket is full, automatically it will suck the leaves and put it in the basket below. It was a simple solution. You don't require to be a PhD to solve this problem. But sensitivity was not there. Nobody bothered about those women. So if technology is used for solving the problems, the drudgery of the poor people, as Swamiji wanted, how many rice transplanting? It's a very laborious process. Transplanting, have you seen? Yeah. You have to bend for hours together, and mostly it is done by women. You just now heard the statistics. 66% of the labor is done by women, and they don't earn much. So much drudgery, it's a serious social issue. But recently, one person of GTU got an award for a mechanical transplanting machine for rice. That will solve the problem. The women need not bend their back and with their feet in water for hours together. They can do it faster. So problems which can solve the drudgery of these women or the laborers, the poor, the underprivileged, that is what Swamiji wanted. And if there is a will, there will be a way.
Just on. Swamiji was telling me last time when I visited his place, they invented some machine which can go to pluck the coconuts. People need not be struggling to climb up. That has been in my college a little self-boasting. I have a large area, it's also agricultural land. There are so many bullock carts. the bulls, they are getting strained. And one student came and told me that I have an idea, sir, I feel sorry for the bull. It is carrying heavy loads. There is a gear system for the two-wheeler scooter, gear system for the four-wheeler. Why can't there be a gear system to the bullock cart so that the strain on the bull is reduced? And he did it. And he got the award. See, what I am trying to say is, as teachers, as professors, as individuals, if only we can make the people feel for the others, we will really be the faithful followers of Vivekananda, and we will be doing a great service to the country. And most in scientific innovations are capable only because of the intuition. Intuition is also born of strong love.
Wonderful.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Right, the right point. Shall we disperse for a tea break? Pardon? No comments. I think it's already. Are we late?
No, not late.
Acha. Okay. So, Dr. Subramaniam and Dr. Rudra gave us some very good food for thought. How can we develop our sensitivities in the lines of Swamiji? Now, using science and technology, as I told you, this GTU example has inspired us. Of course, Srinivas was also instrumental in introducing that course. With great difficulty, we were thinking why our youth are not coming to Swamiji. Because they want something very practical, we have lived in the field of ideas for a very long time. As I mentioned, I could not complete that theme. That ideas which are frozen, Swamiji wanted us to be very intensely practical. So somehow, without waiting for too much of theorizing, we should directly go into action. And that is what Swamiji wanted. So we thought that the idea should reach the students. So by hook or by crook. So we tried. It was a very difficult task, as one of the delegates asked that question, why don't you ask the government, why don't you ask? So if we wait for the government to do these things, it is not possible. So we approached the Vice Chancellor, who was kind enough, and we said, can we experiment? He said, why don't you design a textbook? But then Srinivas very rightly pointed out, there have been enough of textbooks. Even if you have a standard textbook, it again amounts to the same thing, the same ideas. So a new syllabus this is the book which we have introduced for the last 3 years, and the key ideas, 10 key ideas of Swamiji, 10 chapters are there. How the very idea of Tyaga and Seva, if we tell these things to the youth, they are frightened. Tyaga and Seva means you have to give up the homes or something like that. But if you say it in modern terminology, that you have to contribute, if you contribute principles of long-term success, that is the name given to this book. So if you really deserve success, even Swamiji says in Karma Yoga, unselfishness is more paying, but people don't have the patience to practice it. So we thought, why not give these ideas of Tyaga and Seva in a new paradigm, in a new way, so that the modern students, as soon as they hear of our ancient culture and all those things, again they say these people are going to saffronize the course and all those things. We are a secular nation, unfortunately we cannot do much. So it was a great challenge, and with lot of effort, with lot of model classes and all those things, we managed to introduce this course. And as a result of that, people have become sensitive. After 3 years, one university which specializes in educational technology in Germany, Saarland University, have expressed their desire to see how it works. And Srinivas has introduced another concept which is known as active learning guide, so that people can learn by themselves through the internet using modern electronic media. Some of the key ideas, because if you don't have competent teachers to grasp these ideas, assimilate these ideas, you can somehow use, of course it is not a substitute for a real life, like Guru Graha was, some inspired teacher can inspire more, but then that is the best you can do in the present circumstances. And we found that there are some youth, a group of youth always in this huge mix, youth are not as bad as we think they are. So we found there were some youths, and the result was, I can give you the physical, we cannot quantify these things, whether this course has been useful, whether it is changing the character or not. But one result we can see after introducing this, there was a movement towards using science and technology for the rural masses, and it has been made mandatory for every student to spend 6 months, which we could never dream of for the last 100 years. People going to the villages, especially people studying in prestigious institutions, engineering colleges, they were cut off from the whole world, the society around them, what is happening to the poor people, how they are struggling with their life. So for the first time, a course, and they are given marks for this, they have to go to the villages and try to find out. So after doing that, you can see the joy on the faces of these youth. They feel they are also doing something. They never had an idea. That is what Swamiji wanted. Ask each student or each youth to find out that there is infinite capacity within you to do wonderful things. And that was all that is needed. They are full of energy and full of capacity to work and innovative ideas they have. As he said, the bullock cart, it came all of a sudden, this intuition. There are so many other things. Using a bicycle wheel, people were drawing water for ages, and it is so, it's taxing on the arms. But then he designed a simple lock, which when you pull the water, the pot gets stuck in between. So it is a simple invention using a rejected bicycle spoke, wheel. So using bicycle wheels and very less material, these students were able to invent so many things which were useful to reduce the drudgery of these underprivileged people. That is why it is known as frugal engineering. A new concept is coming in innovation to create more from less for more and more people, to create more things. You can have a refrigerator for 10,000 rupees, which a common man in the village cannot afford. But if you can reduce the price, like what Tatas have done with Swachh, a water purifier used to cost so much. But using technology, using our talent, using science and technology, they could reduce it to 999 rupees. So pure hygienic drinking water could be produced. So some kind of empathy is required, and when that is generated in the heart, then you start looking for solutions. And we do not want world-class invention. That is one big mistake we make. We want world-class institutions. Why do we want world-class? We can have Indian class. Our requirements are different. Our culture is different. Our society is different. So we can have science and technological innovations which can solve our problems depending on our situations. We don't require high-tech things. So this concept of frugal engineering to generate more from less resources at a cheaper rate, using local materials for more and more, so that the sustainability and the affordability is increased. Even the poorest man can buy those things and get benefit from that. Why do you always have inventions? Most of the multinational companies, they cater to the needs of the rich. Newer and newer models, costlier and costlier models, luxury items are created. So we do not want our Indian brains, Indian youth to use their brains to create luxuries for the rich. We have done that enough. Our people have gone abroad. That's why Swamiji says, I call every man a traitor, having been educated at the expense of millions of Indian people. Our IITs, our IIMs, and all the NITs are subsidizing education to such a large extent. And 40% of those graduates are going abroad and never thinking of the poor people who have paid tax and educated them. Where does the money come from? Our people are not sensitive, our youths are not sensitive. But the moment they realize, okay, your education has been subsidized, each IIT is subsidizing to the extent of 50 lakhs, each student. Whose money is that? It is the money of the toiling masses. So if is it not his responsibility to do something? He has been educated, let him contribute something for the nation. So that is the idea behind this course. And even if 5%, the contributors are really few in society, most of the people are exploiting. But even 5% of the population, of the youths, if they can start contributing, and if the bhava of Tyaga and Seva is inculcated to them, within them, then it can create a revolution. And that is what Swamiji wanted, the socio-economic development, so that once we are well fed, then we can think of higher things like religion and moksha and all those things. So we made a humble attempt, and I'm glad to say that at least in Gujarat, see, a university which was producing only 30 patents every year. Patents means for some useful innovation. All of a sudden, after 3 years, more than 300 very, very useful innovations, like what Subramaniam ji said. They may be very simple, but they have solved a problem which was there for several hundred years, reducing the pains and the problems of the underprivileged masses, at least of Gujarat, because they are restricted to that particular locality. So the colleges are supposed to go in a 50-kilometer radius in the villages, because next to the city, like Bangalore, if you see, some of our tribal villages are just hardly 50 kilometers away from the city, and see the living conditions. Balasubramaniam knows how they are working in all those places. So our city people are not sensitive enough, youths are not sensitive enough to think about this. Once they start thinking, and more importantly, as Subramaniam ji said, which was Swamiji's main message, once they start feeling, because it is only through feeling that that great things and great things could be done. So I think the time is up, and if we for future society, especially for India, if Swamiji's ideas are made available to our youth, which constitute more than 78%, as he pointed out, less than 40 years, it can be a tremendous power for social change. But each one has to start from where he is. Like we experimented in our own way, we were successful in introducing, I don't know what the fruits will be after 10 years or 20 years, but at least we made a humble attempt, and I think we have succeeded to a certain extent. Thank you.
Just a minute. Now there will be tea for 10 minutes only. During our last seminar, we had a roundtable discussion, and it was a runaway success, and people were highly appreciative of it. So this time too, we have arranged a roundtable discussion immediately after tea. So all of you, please have tea and assemble within 10 minutes. And towards the end of the valedictory section, we have something special for you, which you will know later on. Begin.
Okay.
I think you should sum it up.
Yeah.
Make a nice speech. Should go.
Respected Respected Swami Suparnanandaji, Secretary Maharaj, respected monks, Mataji, distinguished participants, very eminent panelists who have been speaking so long and chairing the sessions, distinguished guests and friends. This is going to be the finale of the program, as they say. In other forums, it is called the wrap-up session. We are not going to wrap up, we are going to open up. Not that we will inflict any new speech on you. This is not the intention. The intention is to review and not to recapitulate. I think the basic ideas have gone into our heads, and we have been moved and stirred by those ideas. Only thing that there are certain points which need to be smoothened out and reviewed. We have also to cross-check some of the key ideas which may have left some unsaid things, some grey areas. And finally, if possible, try to put up some sort of a roadmap, but until and unless we are able to implement those ideas which we have worked with so long, well, there will not be very much point in holding this kind of seminar. With this very modest introduction, I would request the very eminent participants, the panelists, to please go ahead with one seminal idea that could form the very essence of the whole discussion that has been taking place since last evening. what could it be? I would not venture to identify any particular idea as the central thing, but possibly I would like to take up this expression vision. What is vision? It has been very rightly pointed out that vision in our own philosophical tradition is also darshan, something which is visualized. And when the future is going to be visualized, not prophesied, not foretold. Swamiji was not a fortune teller. He was a visionary, not in the sense of someone who is making a long wish list for a transitional humanity. He was pretty sure that these are the indicators which one has to cope with, which one has to understand. These are the possibilities which one has to explore, and these are the immense, I would say immense possibilities again, which must be translated into reality. So that being the case, it's a grand vision before us. We have had several sessions, as many as 5, before this round table. I think
So 6.
this, including this one, it will be
Oh,
6.
okay,
Yeah.
No, 7. 55 years.
Somehow I was not able to attend all those 5 sessions, but the last one, with the last speaker, well, opened our eyes as to what we have been doing to ourselves. It is true that when we talk about Swamiji's vision of future society, it is certainly not about our Indian society as such. He certainly was concerned about the whole of humanity. But India happens to be a very interesting place, a laboratory of the experiments that any visionary would like to take place. You have all the diversities that you need, you have all the problems that you have to encounter, and you have all the potentials that you will like to utilize in order to realize your dreams. So in such a place, is it not a pity that in spite of all the teachings of Swamiji and others, well, why is it that we have been doing so much damage to us? We are also part of humanity, knowingly and deliberately. So I think the first question before us is how to be human again. May we have a short discussion on this point from different viewpoints. Shall we start from this side? Yeah. Yeah, how to be human again, so that we can approach divinity.
Well, becoming human is the first step towards becoming divine. And that is where building one's character is possibly the first step. Swamiji talks about every soul being potentially divine and manifesting that potential. If we are indeed divine, why is it that we don't perceive this divinity within us? And Swamiji in his book Rajyog gives a vivid imagery. Talks about a lake. At the bottom of the lake is a bright source of light. And he says, you don't see that light clearly on the surface. And that is how it is. That divinity shines inside you, but your perception of divinity is through your mind. And just like the water of the lake obscures the source of light, your mind acts like a veil in front of that divinity. Swamiji himself gives 2 reasons why the water in the lake obscures the source of light. One he calls impurity, dirt, and the other is motion, currents, disturbances in the water. And he says, mind is to be first purified and mind is to be made still and calm. And then you see the divinity beyond the mind.
May I just chip in? Since we are time constrained, let us each take not more than 5 minutes, please. Huh?
No, I won't take 5 minutes. So the first step is really to, but what is cleaning the mind? And Swamiji himself tells it. He says, anything that makes you cling to this body-mind complex that you think you are is ignorance.